What's going on, YouTube? This is your man Tagatu, and we are back with another episode of the history of HeXp Humble Beginnings. I know it's been a little bit since the last video. I've just been busy with work and things going on, and I just really haven't had the time to make a video. So, we're going to watch a little bit of Grand Theft Auto Online. This was a day I was just messing around. None of the crew were on, so I just decided to record some for the backdrop. But let's kick into it. This video is going to go into basically the start or the creation of HeXp itself. No more history as far as before HeXp. We now in the present. HeXp's formed, and I love how online is loading up faster now. Thank you, Rockstar, for finally getting something done right. Anyway, so HeXp's formed, and like I had said in the previous video, I went on I guess a recruiting siege. I was trying to get all the old members under my wing, but there was just so much of a bad taste in everybody's mouth that nobody really wanted to do anything anymore. It was a bad breakup. I mean, everybody just lost any kind of will to want to continue. So basically, I'm stuck out there on my own, and what I do, I start, hitting pub games up. Start joining, every 8s or, competition or anything that I could. Sorry, it's early in the morning, I haven't cleared my throat out yet. And we start throwing up tournaments. One of our first tournaments we had, I think it was for a small prize. I think $100 for the first place team, and I want to say it was on Black Ops 1. That's where we got our start, was on Black Ops 1, and there was a team called Boiling Point that didn't win, didn't come close. But in the midst of all the tournament and me running everything by myself, Chris, I believe his name was Chris, BP Kryptonite, was constantly talking to me. He showed how he had a good attitude. His team did. They lost, but they loved the atmosphere of what was going on. And I continued talks with them, and I kind of made them my first community team. There was about 15 or 20 of them, and they instantly just loved the idea and basically became the foundation of the community. We would play, spread the name. I got a lot of hate from better teams that were saying those kids are trash, whatever. But they were helping me out.
So
it was a good good atmosphere. Everybody was really cool with everybody. But then came Relentless Theory, and if you don't know, Relentless Theory was Pie's team. So there was a battle with Chris and Matt. I'm not going to get into all the history, but Relentless Theory and Boiling Point were always neck and neck, and Boiling Point basically wouldn't defend themselves. They kept on coming to me saying, "Oh, you're our sponsor," or this and that. You need to help us out. I'm like, I'm not here to get into any drama. I don't even know what your beef is, but this is before my time. You need to handle your own stuff. And through that, they kind of got a sour taste in their mouth and left HeXp. So
I'm otherwise occupied.
In the months following, I guess it was a month later, Pie and Relentless Theory came in and said, "Hey, we hate what happened, but we're a good team." I've watched them; they were actually pretty good, and we're already sponsored. We're not looking for a sponsorship, but we feel bad what happened. And in a sense, Pie became one of the first sponsored teams, and he's continued that through Black Ops. He became part of our pro team. He played with us, for us, in Orlando, and so on and so forth, and he'll be in Columbus. So Pie's been a real steady founding member of this community, and he was from Relentless Theory. But from that, we we started, you know, they started playing. I started getting more. I was actually on a guerrilla warfare of advertising. I'd go into every room that I possibly could. I was, you know, sending out messages. Hey, come check us out. The website had just started. I actually was using my computer business as a sponsor. I basically built computers, repaired them, and so I had access to, well, I still do have access to wholesale parts, you know, computers and stuff like that, so I got them cheap, and I basically offered those products. We sold computer products on Heightened Experience at wholesale prices, and so I was using that business as a sponsorship for HeXp. And, you know, we played out Black Ops. We got a guy, Slayer, Andrew Slayer. He had been an original player for Fear way back in the day, and he was still a monster. Actually, I think we still have the video up there, when what a drummer wants or something like that on our YouTube. But Slayer was a beast, and with that, he led our first pro team and basically got our name out there. And it was Slayer, Pi, Uber, and Motive were the original, I guess, pro team. I say pro team, you know, they didn't reach pro status with HeXp, but they are our main competitive team, and it's easier to say pro team than say main competitive team. So they actually did very well for themselves, and during this time we actually started to creep into the PC section. StarCraft 2 was in its height. MLG was picking it up. It was, I mean, it was big at that time. You know, it just came out. People were just swarming all over it. So we decided to jump on the bandwagon, and we actually created a StarCraft 2 division. My first MLG was actually in Columbus of 2000 and what's 3 years ago. It was 2010. Yeah. My first MLG experience, I met a guy at the Renaissance Hotel that played StarCraft 2, and he kind of showed me around the scene, I guess you would call it. I started meeting people, and there was one that was brought to me, not Capello, but I forget his name now. It doesn't make much difference anyway. He's a douche. Anyway, we started with a very strong relationship, and through time, I basically gave him control over the StarCraft 2 division. I was like, you know what, you've worked hard. You know, he helped bring in masters. We had probably 5 masters or grandmasters, whatever the top tier was. I think it was grandmasters. We had about 5 of them across the world. We had masters. I mean, we were starting to do a structured divisional thing with practices. We had streamers. We had a very large StarCraft 2 division. I mean, at one point the StarCraft 2 side was actually larger than the Call of Duty side. So, gave him control of that. The Black Ops team was doing their thing. We were looking strong. This was in our first year. We were throwing tournaments. I actually got a guy that helped me buy a ladder system, the same system that Ego uses with 360 icons. He had said he actually knew how to work on scripting and all that kind of stuff. Come to find out, we weren't very good at scripting as much as we thought. So through time and effort, we tried to build that up, and I couldn't find anybody that could help working on it that was less than like $500 to $1,000. So that kind of got to the waypoint. We actually still have those ladders. We still have the competitions from way back then loaded into it. If you want to check them out, hexpgaming.com/ladders. They're still up. They're just not shown. I'm going to get like a buzz of people on there now. But StarCraft 2 was buzzing. Black Ops was buzzing. Just went to the first MLG. Went there. Actually, it's a funny story because I got contacted by a couple teams before MLG Columbus of that year, and Fear was one of them, and I forget. Fear was a big one that kind of contacted me. It was kind of crazy because I'm sitting here like I just got started this year, and this major team has contacted me. And I talked it over with some people, and it was just like one of those things like, do I sponsor them and get my name out, or do I go there and do it myself? Well, obviously the decision was made for me to go out there and basically grind myself. I didn't know anybody other than Optic Diesel when I went there. I had talked to a few people as well, but he was the only real one that was in my past that I knew that was going. So I met up with Optic, hung out with them a little bit, met HeXp for the first time, and he's a cool dude, great dude as a matter of fact. But I got a whole bunch of flyers, some cards made, and I just went out there, worked my ass off. Got a little drunk, met Street Justice, got a whole bunch of contacts, Creative Controller was there. It was a big event. So I guess in that started our main competitive drive to go to MLG for a team. So I'm trying to actually speed this up a bit because I've gotten a few concerns that my videos are so long. I'm going to warn you, this video is going to be just as long, but I'm trying to shove it all in there, so MLG starting this and that. The next couple of months, StarCraft 2 is booming. Like I said, streaming. We're actually holding weekly and bi-weekly tournaments. Our numbers on the sites are tripling, quadrupling. It's a really strong moment. Our team, we're making montages. Well, I'm making montages. The team is competing. I think they actually won a few tournaments, and everything's looking great. And then it happens, which it's a continuing thing in HeXp sometimes. There was an incident where the leader, the StarCraft 2 side, he started getting, I guess, a power trip. We weren't doing enough for his people, this and that. I supposedly had made a few mistakes myself as far as not handing out prizes. Either way, there was growing tension, and one night it just all ended in a clash. We got locked out of the TeamSpeak server, and our StarCraft 2 division was gone. We actually had, I think it was Agna that was going to go compete for us at MLG. I had a jersey made for him, and actually a few other people, and it was all gone in one night. So putting my trust into one person for an entire division, that kind of changed my mind about doing that. So we tried starting StarCraft up again, but it just wasn't the same. There wasn't enough drive there. I guess the sour taste in my mouth and some others were, the cello. That's the name I'm looking for, the cello. Anyway, so StarCraft 2 was done. Didn't know if anybody knew that, but we did have a StarCraft 2 side, and we were very dominant in StarCraft 2. I think we actually have some videos on our YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even on stream. Anyway, so focused back to Black Ops, and we actually had the thought of diving into sports games and fighting games like Marvel vs. Capcom, stuff like that. That idea quickly went out the door. There just wasn't enough interest in it. So Black Ops 1 is just about done, and here comes Modern Warfare 3. It was kind of a very shaky low point for HeXp. Slayer did not like the game at all, so he left. Motive left as well, so we had Pi and Uber. And we went through probably 8 to 10. I'm probably more than that. 8 to 10 roster changes. We never really got a solid footing under us for MW3. And there was a time that we were just trying to find something that worked. We were still streaming. Didn't make videos quite as much. The community was growing here and there, and we tried to start our PC side up again. Ho actually brought up a game to me, League of Legends, and I was like, here's the thing with Ho. He'll play a game for a month, and then he'll find a new game, and then he'll find 2 more, and he's constantly finding games, which I love him for, because it broadens my experience a little bit more, because he did bring me League of Legends. But at the same time, I can't get the damn man to stick around for one game long enough to actually do something with. Anyway, so League of Legends, I think after 2 or 3 weeks, I finally downloaded it, and I'm no hotshot on the game now, but I really sucked. If you've played League of Legends, you know that when you start out, you suck. I mean, hairy balls and everything, deep throat. You suck. And I really sucked. And Ho, had patience, kept on getting me on, because I about threw the game out. I deleted it almost. But I kept up with it, and finally, there was a breaking point where I'm like, hey, I finally understand this game. So, decided to start the PC side up on League of Legends again. Started, recruiting. We actually, at one point in time, again, our PC side was larger than our console side. We had at least 20 to 30 people on every night on our TeamSpeak server. We had streams going. We were throwing tournaments. Again, all this activity. And Ho had to, he's in the military, he had to go away on training. So we left. Each time he left, we put somebody else in charge. And again, putting your trust in someone else doesn't work out. Every single time we've done it in HeXp, somebody just drops the ball and says, screw it. I'm going to fuck this up for everybody. And it happened again. Like I said, we had our numbers for League of Legends tournaments where we actually were getting prizes from Riot when we threw our League of Legends tournaments. We were getting Riot points and skins and all that other kind of craziness. So, like I said, we started making a name for ourselves in this game. We put people in charge. The community died. Everybody says, why aren't you on all the time? Everybody's got to understand, I do the console, I do the PC, I was doing the site, I was doing videos, I was doing, all these things and spreading my time out even. So I wasn't able to stick around and actually run one side or the other. So therefore I needed people to help me out and spread the wealth, so to speak. That didn't happen. So again, our League of Legends side broke down again. The only constant we've had was basically the console side, and kind of put that on the people that were in it, and the fact that I knew more about the console than I did all these other PC games, so I kind of leaned to them a little bit more. So I guess that's my strength was the console. Well, anyway, so our League of Legends died, and from time to time we kept on trying to revamp our League of Legends, and I guess it's on hiatus right now. Nobody's really stepped up to lead the PC side. I guess we all still have a sour taste in our mouth that it keeps on going down. And MW3, like I said, we had so many different people on that team. It was just ridiculous. I think I lost count after a while. But still, again, we were pushing, and we threw a tournament toward the latter end of MW3. In this tournament, we had a team that won. We decided toward the end that we were going to try to put a team together. Me and Slayer, I asked for his advice. Help me find a team that's going to represent us. I want to go into MLG for Black Ops. I want to do this competitively. I want to do it with the best possible team we can find. I want to make a name for HeXp. I'm kind of tired of sitting around waiting for it to happen. So we started looking. We were doing individual tryouts, team tryouts, and there was, this idea, well, if we get individuals, then we can make a team and they will, sincerely hold HeXp as their own. I was kind of timid on putting a team in there because they're already a team, they're already themselves, and they won't hold loyalty to HeXp, they'll hold loyalty to themselves. So those were the two ideas that were bouncing around in my head. But the team that we picked up, which was eventually became our pro team, they won our tournament, and it was about 2 or 3 months later. We came to them and like, hey, we'd like to see what you guys can do for HeXp, and told them what the deal was. They would have to change their name to HeXp Gaming and represent us, and they're all about it. They're excited. It was a new beginning for our console side. So they got underway, and immediately I got on the horn to everybody I knew. Hey, you guys need to try this team out. You need to play them, this and that. And I think toward the start of Black Ops 1, when they really started to get under the game, it was probably about a couple weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks into the game. Myself, Street Justice, we knew people in the community, so we finally started getting them pro scrims, and they proved themselves. They're holding their own with the pro teams. I think they were kind of awestruck at first that, hey, we're playing Optic now. Hey, we're playing Fear. Hey, Complexity wants to play us. These teams started noticing them, and it was a snowball effect. It was like they held their own on 1 or 2 games, and all of a sudden they started getting invites, and those invites led to them, actually placing in tournaments, and then they started winning the tournaments. And Street is a good friend with Puckett, and we finally got them on MLG Pro Scrims. Now, the first show, they did hold their own. They didn't win. I think they, I'm not sure how it went, but they didn't. But I think how their play was, and how much enthusiasm and everything that was behind the community, and talking to Puckett, over and over again, we got him another shot. And the second time on MLG Pro Scrims, they showed up. It was the first time HeXp was like, boom, in your face, and they destroyed. I mean, we were a hardpoint team. They're still working on their capture the flag and S&D, but we were the hardpoint team to beat. I can only probably name 5 teams, if that could really hold their own or even beat us. I mean, in hardpoint, we destroyed in hardpoint, and we were the team to beat. So from that pro scrim, we started getting teams that would just want to play hardpoint against us because we were that team. At this time, we started growing. I started looking for sponsors, getting the team ready. I was coaching the team, and everything was looking up. But there was always something there that wasn't quite right, I guess. And it was my fear that if we brought a team by themselves on, that they wouldn't truly latch on to us. They were still their own team, and I started seeing hints of that. We were doing everything we could for them, and I guess it just wasn't enough in some people's eyes. I mean, we had the community behind them. I was getting sponsors. I think right before Dallas, I had a sponsor that was saying that, hey, I'll give so much money per event. I was like, great. Let me get these guys to sign non-disclosure agreements, and we'll get this thing underway. He's like, all right, because I will not give you money unless they are under contract with your organization. I was like, that's fair enough. Let me get them NDAs, and then we'll start talking about that, and we can get this thing rolling. It's like, all right, I'll hold on for about a month or so. All right. So MLG Dallas happens, and if you've been living under a rock, there was a lot of excitement, a lot of it was just crazy, and we ended up taking 13th. I think we were one map away from placing top 8, and I think that was against Complexity. I'm not sure. I think it was Complexity. It came down to the last map, and it came down to search and destroy, and it was 4-4, and we lost the last side. That's how close HeXp was to pro status at that event. Our first event, as a matter of fact. So we were playing pro teams on a pro level, and we got 13th place. And I believe what I'm going to do is leave after Dallas information for another video. But basically what we had was I was spending day in and day out for this pro team. I neglected the PC side again because I was putting so much time in. If I wasn't coaching the team, I was looking for sponsors. I was sending out emails. I was doing all the business end of everything, and from the time I was leaving work to the time I went to bed, I was all about that pro team. There was nothing else that was more important to me was that pro team and making sure that they were successful. Whether those individuals saw all the hard work that I put into it, probably not. Because there was moments at Dallas where it was, I would bring, items up saying, hey, we need to talk business, we need to do this. Oh, well, let's talk after Dallas. Or, we don't want to do that right now. Or this and that. And I kind of knew right then and there that things were, going to go downhill. And I didn't sway from what I was doing. I didn't try to alter my course. I was like, you know what, the community showed that we were supporting of them 100%. You cannot deny that, how loud we were in Dallas. We were so loud that the casters on the main stage were saying, hey, we got to go down there and figure out what's going on. There was so much hype behind Heightened Experience. Hastro quoted as saying, this is the future of gaming right here. This is the great, this is this hypeness and the respect. We lost to fear, and the first thing we did, get up and shake their hand. It was all about respect. But again, there was just something there that nobody saw that was happening that I was fearful of. I believe after Saturday night, we were walking back to the hotel room, and I think it was Gucci that said, well, I guess we can start sketching now. And he was joking, kind of telling his other members, like, are you sure you really want to sketch on this? I mean, look at the hype, look at the people. We've got 15 fucking people in our community. Their first event, people were wanting them to sign, autographs. They got their first interview. I hooked up Golden Boy to get ESN over there. Everything was happening. I told them I would do everything I could. The next event, I was going to take it out of my pocket to pay for their hotels. We already did pay for their jerseys and their their tournament fee. That's what I would cover, and we got them a group rate on the hotel. They only had to pay $100 for the weekend. So their first event, they got free jerseys, their team pass paid for, and a cheap hotel. All they had to do was get there and pay $100 for a hotel for the weekend. The next event, I said, if we don't get any sponsors before then, I will personally pay your hotel, and all you got to do is get there. So
Shut your
I was
mouth.
trying to do everything I could, and I guess that just wasn't good enough. But I'm going to save after Dallas what happened with the pro team. The pro team will be its own video. I'll save for what happened after Dallas for the next video. So this one's going to end. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments, likes, concerns. Sorry it was long again, but you know, once I get talking, I can't stop. But until then, play hard.